We've reached that part of the year where you're seeing a lot of those clickbait year-end wrap-up articles, listicles, and slideshows. Go ahead and click on a couple. It's okay, you're not hurting anyone. And I, for one, really need to know the top 10 celebrity meltdowns of 2023. This article is not one of those. Another popular theme at the end of every year is prognostication. So you're probably also seeing bold headlines from a lot of experts in different fields predicting what 2024 is ultimately going to be about. These are also harmless, and some of them can even be quite valuable. This article is not one of those. Admittedly, this article looks like one of those, walks like it, quacks like it. To be transparent, it's how I get you into the arena. But I've got way too much respect for your intelligence to just barf out a list of predictions that no one will fact check me on in December. Now, I'm not baiting and switching you. I'm taking a calculated risk. I do believe 2024 is going to be a very good year for business, for startups, for innovators, for independent thinkers. How do I know this? What conclusive evidence do I have? I don't. I've got nothing. Well, I've got a gut feeling, and you need to know why that kind of gut feeling is important for you and your success. For the record, I'm tired of getting to the end of the year and then hearing from all corners about how much the year sucked. But also for the record, every year since 2019 has kind of sucked. I'm as lazy as the next content creator when it comes to the wrap up, wrap forward end of year cycle. In fact, last year at this time, there I was, whining about Web3 scams crimping traditional funding, the chaos of remote work, musical chairs, and inflation being expensive. Yeah, I know, obvious, right? But again, I respect your intelligence, and I was 100% right about what 2023 was going to be like. So you should keep reading. The difference between 12 months ago and now, or more to the point, the difference between March 2020 and now, is that finally, vaguely, and somewhat unexpectedly, I have hope. And I don't know why. And I'm excited about that. This is not data-driven hope. This is not post-pandemic free money burning, it can't get any worse hope. If I had to give you a reason as to why I have hope, which is something I said I wouldn't do when I sat down to write this, I'd tell you that for the first time in 4 years, it feels like we're settling into a more fair and logical playing field. The Web3 stuff is over, and the money spigot into that quagmire has gone from fire hose to trickle. The unintended consequences of remote work have all surfaced pretty much, and common sense is reappearing in the talent equation. Inflation isn't dead, but it's at bay. It feels like good products from good companies with good leadership might be valuable again. But I'm not here to talk about fundamentals or the macro. I'm here to talk about your gut and how that should play into the decisions you make. Gut isn't magic. It isn't luck. It isn't even guesswork. Gut is the ability to synthesize a solution based on the patterns recognized from the experience gained by osmosis from living the problem. I know, that's word salad, but it isn't. The traditional depiction of gut is the gambler. For my generation, it's Han Solo, or maybe Sterling Archer. You kids probably have another icon, but it's someone who always seems to defy the odds by going with their gut. But that's not gut, that's luck. Innovators and leaders don't gamble. We gather data and make decisions. But sometimes, in fact, a lot of the time when you're innovating or leading, the data isn't there to be gathered, at least not easily or in full. There are gaps, blind spots, inconclusives, and ask again laters. Gut is your learned experience automatically filling in those gaps. Gut is your brain synthesizing what should be in those blind spots, like Gen AI, only better. Gut is the voice in your head telling you to do the thing differently this time if you want a different result. Gut is putting down the magic 8 ball and making an educated decision when you don't realize you've already been educated. Here's the kicker. This is where my respect for your intelligence pays off if you got this far. Whether or not I believe 2024 is going to be guns blazing great means absolutely nothing to you. I could show you charts and graphs and cite sources with sterling reputations, and it wouldn't make a damn bit of difference. I was right about 2023, and it meant nothing for you. For me, on the other hand, my predictions, most of which came from my gut, got me through the hopelessness that was 2023. For me. And in 2024, I will act on what my gut is telling me. That a level playing field is ultimately going to make what I do more valuable. And the payoff for you? Well, this just became part of your learned experience. A little more food for your gut. Listen to that, not me, and act accordingly. I gave you a super esoteric piece of content here disguised as a year-end list, and I'm sorry if you were expecting something a little bit more concrete. It's kind of what I do. I give you the clickbaity headline, get you in the arena, and then I give you the real. I do have thoughts about what's next, and that's coming in a future article and video. I talked about the article I wrote at the end of 2022 and how what I was predicting for 2023. And while I talked about the reasons that 2023 were going to be different, inflation tightening, Web3 crimping funding, and talent hopping from city to city, I really didn't talk about why that was going to change things. In that article, I talked about that, and I likened it to movies because everyone understands movies, not Barbenheimer, but something a little bit more structural. It used to be when you wanted to release a successful movie, you would write a great script, and that's like having a great startup idea. You would get the script greenlit, and that's what seed funding might be about. You attach buzzworthy actors. That's the experienced talent that keeps hopping around the country. You strike a deal with a major Hollywood studio. This is like your Series A funding. You film it, and you try like hell to stay under budget. That's your early stage. You launch it into 2,000 theaters and you cross your fingers. That's going to market. And then depending on the box office return, you either fire up a sequel or you go get a real job. That's exactly what startup structure has been like for, let's say, the last 20 to 50 years, and that is changing. I think over the last 10 years, just as mainstreaming has impacted that Hollywood studio movie filming budget, you're starting to see things like inflation, things like Web3 screwing up everybody's funding, and things like talent being a little bit more free to work where and when they want, change the idea of how startups are going to become successful. I believe this is what's going to happen in 2024. I believe it's going to be more about talent, about the idea, about the execution of that idea. And for that, I believe startups that I call uncommon are going to have a better chance of succeeding. Not that startups that can raise $100 million on a $10 billion valuation won't, but I think there's more room now. And since we're talking about those uncommon startups and where they can go to get support, let me talk about Teaching Startup. Teaching Startup provides actionable, insightful, and honest startup advice for entrepreneurs at all experience levels, regardless of their connections or resources. That is Teaching Startup's mission statement. What it is it's access to over 700 questions from our members that get answered by experts like me, and those expert answers get thrown into the website that are then searchable and savable to be accessed on your time. We pump out new answers every week in a weekly newsletter, and it turns out to be about 80% of the benefit of a startup advisor for about 2% of the cost. So that said, if you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching this video, you can like, you can subscribe, but if you really want to support me, you can help me help you by becoming a member and a better entrepreneur at teachingstartup.com. I appreciate you. Now go do great things.